I, 34M, used to love dinner time. 8 years ago, when I first met my wife, Ellie, 32F, she cooked fairly standard meals. Nothing extraordinary, but definitely edible and occasionally quite good. Simple pastas, basic stir-fries, normal tacos. Food that didn't make headlines, but satisfied hunger and made for pleasant, relaxed evenings. Then came the cooking shows. It started innocently enough. A casual weekend binge of Chef's Table led to Chopped marathons, which evolved into obscure YouTube channels featuring chefs with unpronounceable names making dishes with ingredients I'd never heard of. Each night, Ellie would watch these shows with the intensity of a medical student preparing for boards, taking actual notes in a little leather-bound notebook she now keeps in our kitchen. "I'm going to elevate my cooking," she announced about 3 years ago. I was supportive. Who doesn't want better food? What I didn't realize was that elevate in Ellie's mind meant complicate beyond all recognition and common sense. The first disaster was a simple spaghetti with marinara that she enhanced with lavender, cacao nibs, and a fish sauce she ordered online from some specialty shop. The smell was memorable. The taste was like someone had blended a Yankee Candle with an Asian market floor and poured it over pasta. I choked down half a plate while my stomach performed Olympic-level gymnastics. "What do you think?" she asked, eyes bright with anticipation. "It's interesting," I said, reaching for my water glass. "Very unique." She beamed, taking my diplomatic response as enthusiastic praise. And thus began the cycle that has defined our dinners for the past 1,000 days. Last week's highlight was a deconstructed shepherd's pie that involved lamb tartare. Yes, raw lamb. Pea foam, don't ask. And potato spheres that had been soaked in something called truffle liqueur. It looked like abstract art and tasted like a practical joke. The thing is, Ellie isn't just experimenting. She's convinced she's discovered some culinary cutting edge. She posts her creations on Instagram, where a small but equally delusional following encourages her madness with comments like, "So innovative," and "Only a true artist would think to combine kimchi and marshmallow." I've tried gentle hints. When she made coffee-rubbed salmon with blueberry balsamic reduction and cauliflower couscous, I suggested maybe we could have a simple grilled salmon sometime. She looked at me like I'd suggested we eat dirt. "That's so basic," she said, the word dripping with contempt. "Don't you want to experience food, not just consume it?" What I want is to experience food that doesn't make me contemplate takeout at 2 a.m. when hunger finally overwhelms the lingering nausea. The worst part? I love this woman deeply. She's brilliant, kind, funny, and passionate. Her enthusiasm when she describes her latest concoction is genuinely adorable. She spends hours planning these meals for us, believing sincerely that she's creating something special. I've become a master of deception at the dinner table. I've perfected the art of moving food around my plate to create the illusion of eating. I've developed an Oscar-worthy noise that suggests pleasure rather than confusion. I've become adept at strategic questioning about her process to distract from the fact that I'm barely eating. "How did you get the beets to turn that particular shade of purple?" I'll ask, while discreetly feeding a piece of her caramelized beet and licorice risotto to our bulldog Winston under the table. Winston, to his credit, has developed a remarkably strong stomach, though even he drew the line at the cinnamon-infused octopus tacos with mango kimchi. Our friends have stopped accepting dinner invitations. My buddy Dave was the last holdout. He actually likes spicy food and weird combinations. But after the chocolate chili chicken with vanilla bean polenta and pickled strawberries, even he texted me the next day, "Dude, I love you both, but I'm busy for dinner." Forever. My mother-in-law, during her last visit, took me aside and whispered, "Has Ellie seen a doctor?" This from a woman who once tried to convince us that ketchup on cottage cheese was a delicacy in her hometown. The financial impact is another issue entirely. Our grocery bills have tripled. We now have subscriptions to 3 different specialty ingredient delivery services. Our spice cabinet expanded to the point that we had to convert a linen closet to accommodate Ellie's collection of exotic seasonings from around the world. She has 7 different types of salt. 7. All of which taste like salt. The other night, I opened our freezer to find barely any space among containers labeled with masking tape, duck fat, bone marrow, preserved lemons, and something ominously marked Special XO. Our refrigerator looks like a mad scientist's lab, with jars of fermented things and bottles of homemade infusions threatening to topple out whenever the door opens. I've started eating lunch at work like a condemned man enjoying his last meal. My coworkers comment on how I demolish simple sandwiches with alarming enthusiasm. "Wow, you really love turkey on rye," my assistant remarked last week as I closed my eyes in genuine pleasure while eating a completely normal, predictable lunch. Last month, I nearly broke. Ellie had prepared what she called an avant-garde interpretation of beef Wellington, which involved tempeh instead of beef, wrapped in seaweed instead of pastry, with a center of mashed durian fruit instead of pâté. The smell alone made my eyes water. I sat there, fork in hand, genuinely contemplating the state of my life and marriage. "Is everything okay?" Ellie asked, noticing my hesitation. I looked at her hopeful expression, at the hours of work evident in the meticulous plating, at the genuine desire to impress me and share something she was passionate about, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't tell her that her food had become a nightly ordeal I dreaded. Just savoring the anticipation, I lied, and took a bite that immediately made me question whether taste buds can actually file for divorce from a tongue. I love my wife. I love her creativity, her willingness to experiment, her refusal to be ordinary. These are qualities that made me fall in love with her in the first place. But as I sit here typing this on my phone in the bathroom, hiding from tonight's blue cheese ice cream with balsamic strawberries and basil granola, I wonder how much longer I can keep up this charade. 2 nights ago, something unexpected happened. I came home from work later than usual after a grueling meeting. I was tired, hungry, and secretly hoping Ellie might have ordered takeout. Instead, I walked into our kitchen to find her surrounded by what looked like a culinary bomb site. Every surface was covered with pots, pans, and mysterious ingredients. The air was thick with competing aromas, some pleasant, others distinctly not. Ellie stood in the middle of it all, her hair pulled back messily, a smudge of something purple on her cheek, looking utterly deflated. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting down my briefcase. "It's not working," she said, gesturing vaguely at a pot of something that resembled industrial waste. "The cardamom is fighting with the lemongrass, and the fermented black bean paste is making everything taste like..." She trailed off, then sighed. "Like garbage, honestly." For a moment, I considered maintaining the charade, offering encouragement, suggesting a tweak to her recipe, pretending that her previous creations had been culinary triumphs. But something in her defeated expression made me pause. "Ellie," I said carefully, "can I ask you something? Do you actually enjoy eating the food you make?" She looked startled, then thoughtful. After a long moment, she laughed, a small, surprised sound. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But honestly, not always. Not even often lately." "Then why?" "Because cooking used to be so simple and boring," she said, sitting down at our kitchen island. "I wanted to be creative, to make something special. I thought if I pushed boundaries enough, I'd eventually create something amazing." She looked at the disaster around her. "Instead, I've just been making increasingly complicated messes." I sat down beside her, relief flooding through me. "You know what I would really love tonight?" I ventured. "What?" she asked, wary. "Spaghetti and meatballs. The way you used to make it when we first started dating." Something flickered across her face. Disappointment, maybe, but then recognition. "That actually sounds nice." Simple. That night, we had the best meal I'd eaten at home in years. Plain pasta with a straightforward tomato sauce and well-seasoned meatballs. No foam, no unusual fermentation, no deconstructed elements. Just good, honest food that made both of us genuinely happy. Over dinner, I finally found the courage to be honest. I think somewhere along the way, cooking became more about impressing people than about enjoyment, for both of us. Me wanting to be impressed, you wanting to impress. She nodded slowly. "Instagram doesn't help. Everyone's always one-upping each other with more and more outrageous combinations. What if," I suggested, "we made a deal? Experimental cooking once a week, where we both agree to try anything. But the rest of the time, we focus on food we actually want to eat." The relief on her face matched what I felt in my heart. "That sounds perfect," she said. Last night, she made roast chicken with potatoes and vegetables. Simple, familiar, delicious. I didn't have to pretend to enjoy it. My appreciation was genuine and abundant. This morning, I noticed her looking through a cookbook I'd never seen before. "What's that?" I asked, expecting to see some new tome of molecular gastronomy. "Mastering the Art of French Cooking," she said, showing me the classic Julia Child cover. I thought maybe instead of trying to invent new combinations, I could focus on mastering techniques. Learn the rules before breaking them. I kissed her forehead. "That sounds wonderful." Tonight, she's making coco vin. I'm actually looking forward to dinner for the first time in years. And Winston the Bulldog seems oddly disappointed that he's no longer getting secret handouts under the table. Sometimes the most revolutionary act isn't pushing boundaries. It's finding the courage to appreciate simplicity and admit when something isn't working. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone you love isn't blind encouragement, but gentle honesty.